Hello and welcome everybody to Web and Beyond Live for May 24th, 2021. I know we got started a little bit late here today from some technical difficulties, but welcome to everybody who's joining. And so today we're going to get right into the show. I'm Ray Sidney Smith. I'm president of W3 Consulting and I'm managing director of W3C Web Services, which provides affordable web and WordPress hosting, domain name registration, and other web-related services for small business. And of course, Web and Beyond Live is a weekly show about topical and timely small business digital marketing topics. And so these are all the things that I think I'm tracking from week to week as a small business digital marketing strategist that I think you as a small business owner needs to know. And so thanks for joining me here today. If you're joining me here live, feel free to ask questions in the chat. And of course, if you're watching the replay or listening to the podcast afterward, leave a comment or send me a message and I'll be happy to answer those questions there. Today, we're going to just cover some topics that I wanted to cover from some articles that I picked up and some other items that I wanted to talk about regarding Facebook and Amazon and Walmart, as well as Apple. And we'll cover some of those items. But the crux of what I wanted to talk about today was really about the future of small business marketing when it comes to audio. And there have been several articles about this. I think, part of this is the notoriety of Clubhouse, but I think more of this is coming to the fact that podcasting is more prevalent today. People are more aware of it, but there's kind of this big movement, and I wanted to kind of talk through that with you all. So let's get into the news and let's cover those items. So let's start off with, first and foremost, Facebook has launched a Live Shopping Fridays series. It's a series of events. It's a 3-month-long program they're calling Live Shopping Fridays, and I would normally hold this off until the social media updates, but because it's ongoing, it started this past Friday on May 21st. And the idea here is that they're having these live streams where these brands are capable of coming in and interacting. You can buy the products directly from the live stream themselves. So I'm not quite sure whether this technology is just being utilized through what businesses have access to already or not from utilizing Facebook shops and live streams with those shops. So I'm not quite sure what the technology components are here, but I recommend that anybody who is thinking about selling on Facebook or through Facebook certainly check these events out, because you're going to learn stuff about, well, in this case, live selling. It's kind of like Home Shopping Network on Facebook. So they're clearly competing with the other major social networks, as well as some of the major e-commerce brands that are doing this kind of thing. I'll talk about that in a moment. Either way, this is starting every Friday, this past Friday, May 21st through July 16th. They're bulked into 3 different categories. And those 3 different categories are Glow Up, New Fashion Finds, and Self-Care Spotlight. Now, these are for these, big brands, Abercrombie and Fitch, Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, Clinique, and others. And so they're selling these products directly from them, and each of them has their own schedule. And you can see the schedule here on the shop, on the site. So go check it out if you are in health and beauty. But really, if you're in any brand that is attempting to sell online, this is going to be really interesting for you to pay attention to in terms of what Facebook is doing and what they may be doing in the future as it relates to the whole Facebook shops, Instagram shops, and live streams. So it's really powerful stuff going on there. I did want to point out that if you are not already on Amazon, Amazon has something called Amazon Live. If you go to amazon.com/live, you will be taken to this page, which is the Amazon Live page. And as you can see here, again, kind of like Home Shopping Network or any of those other live shopping TV shows, they've basically baked that directly into the platform here. And so what you're having here is on Amazon Live, the ability to watch different shows that are folks selling other topics. Now, I know this sounds kind of like, oh, well, I'm not going to be selling Amazon products, but the idea here is to actually gain an audience. And I think that if you can actually, again, you're going to be making potentially money from doing these live streams and having people talk about your industry as it's related to products. There are a lot of things here on Amazon that are related to your business, and even if it's not about your business specifically, then you can actually bundle those products together and use this platform as a conversation. So it's really interesting to me. You can apply to become an Amazon Live creator somewhere here on the page. And I don't know, but you can scroll through the schedule and see the various live streams that are going on. Apply to become an Amazon Live creator and see if it's something that would make sense for your business. If you have your own products on Amazon as well, this could be really powerful. So I'm really looking for clients who are willing to test this out because I find it fascinating. I almost think that I might start a personal productivity show here on Amazon Live just to play with the concept of talking about a topic and then utilizing products in the space just to have the platform, just to be able to get in front of people and talk to them about things that you want to talk about that are related to your business. So I'm really, really curious about the Amazon platform itself. Okay. So I just didn't know if folks know about that, and so I wanted to point that out to you. Next up is Microsoft is rolling out a webinars feature inside of Teams. This is incredibly important for those of you who have been using multiple tools in order to do this. Maybe if you're in Google Workspace, you've been using Workspace for meetings, and maybe if you have, the larger, higher level Google Workspace accounts, you are capable of doing broadcasts and that kind of thing. But maybe you're using Zoom in addition to Microsoft Teams if you're in the Microsoft 365 space. And now Microsoft is giving this new webinars functionality inside of Microsoft Teams. So just know that it's coming. So it may actually remove a line item from your budget if you're capable of utilizing this. I haven't seen whether this is going to be just built into the platform and you're not going to have to pay additional for it. It looks like it's going to come with some of these plans. So Microsoft 365 Business Standard. So it says here, Microsoft is making webinars available for no additional charge to Microsoft 365 E3 and E5, and then Microsoft 365 A3/A5, and then to government plans, business plans, business standard, and business premiums will also include all the features. So that's good to know that you're going to be able to kind of remove a line item if you have those plans, and so just check that out if that's the case. Okay, so moving right along, Walmart has recently acquired a virtual fitting room. So now inside of the Walmart app, they are bundling together this startup that they purchased, this company called Zkit. They're now going to allow you to be able to, in essence, pull up a screen. That screen will show you in the clothing that is in the catalog within the Walmart application. As I said before, augmented reality is here. The big box brands are targeting consumers with this technology, and now is the time for small business owners to be reaching out and looking for those different technologies. So if you come across any cool small business focused augmented reality technologies, let me know. I'm always curious, and I'll be happy to let folks know about it if you send that along to me, because we're in that space that big box brands, Amazon now has it, Walmart, Target, and others, they have this technology and they're going to start using it. And that means they're going to get an unfair, a really high level advantage over small business retail. And it'd be really great if we could find more and more small business focused AR and VR technologies to be able to utilize so that we can have parity with those big box brands. All right, next is, for those of you who didn't know, Apple has an affiliate program. So you can sign up for this affiliate program and direct people to various things on Apple. So if you're a musician, for example, you can sign up for the affiliate program. And when people buy your music, or say, your music store, you can actually on your website direct people from your music store's website to the Apple Music brand, and then you will get paid for that kind of thing. Well, Apple has expanded that to podcast subscriptions. So Apple just recently launched the concept of podcast subscriptions, where people can actually pay to get premium content from podcast feeds. And now this whole program, the new podcast subscriptions program, is now allowed in the affiliate program. So now people can get paid for referring people to the podcast. So I think this is fantastic news in the ongoing evolution of podcasts, and we're just going to see more and more of this kind of how do we make money? How do we monetize the podcast ecosystem that's gotten really popular? We'll talk about that when we get to our main topic today. Next is Google Chrome in its latest Canary version, which is its like super beta, its alpha testing arena, has a new feature which allows you to be able to follow the RSS feeds of things. And so an RSS feed is the way in which you subscribe, so to speak, the way in which you follow a blog or a podcast or anything like that that has that particular encoded feed. And so the idea here is that Google Chrome is now baking that in there. This is going to be really powerful for businesses, because if you have been or start consistently blogging or consistently podcasting, that feed will now become present in Google Chrome. And now people will be able to subscribe to that content, and now it will just be available, and it will prompt people directly from the browser from within Google Chrome. And presumably, since this is built into Google Chrome, it's based on the Chromium project, which is the foundation of Microsoft Edge, the Opera browser, Brave, and others. Now, hopefully, those browsers will also get that functionality, which means that people will be able to subscribe to your blog posts, your podcast episodes and whatnot directly from the browser, and that will hopefully increase the rate of loyalty of those people to come back and keep visiting and consuming your content. So keep an eye on this as it becomes closer to release. Next up is, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just want to let folks know that if you have like if you go to Google and you type your own name in, if you show up in any way, shape, or form as a little knowledge panel, you can actually claim that knowledge panel, and you can actually see here that if we go to Google, type in my own name. Let's go in here and type in Ray. You will see here on the right-hand side, eventually, or not. Oh, well, here, you can see it here. So say I type my name in, and if I click on this, you should see a knowledge panel. A knowledge panel should show up on this right-hand side. It's not, but it should. Well, either way, see how it shows that I exist? This little thing is the knowledge panel. And so it'll show up here on the right-hand side. I'm honestly not sure why it's not displaying at the present moment, but it should show there. Let's see, it's not showing down here. Tools. Yeah, so it typically shows the knowledge panel on the right-hand side. There's an option for you to be able to claim that knowledge panel. And so these instructions, and again, I'll put a link to this Neil Patel article in here where you can actually claim that knowledge panel. I wonder if that shows you an example of it. I was just curious if it shows you an example. Oh yeah, here goes an example. So here goes Queen Elizabeth II. It shows you this little panel, and it will show it to you in Google searches. And so you can go ahead and claim that panel. And so I highly recommend that you do that if you are able to do so. Okay, back to here. All right. Sridhar, how's it going? Good to see you. And all right, so let's go back to here, continuing on. So Spotify is hosting virtual concerts, and so this is really interesting. Spotify is launching these virtual events where they are going to host music events virtually, and they're pricing them at $15. And this is just good for us to know, like, what you think the market will bear. That Spotify has a very large audience size, and they think that they can get $15 out of people is a good kind of metric for you to say, like, okay, that's maybe a modal average of the pricing for, say, a music event that you might be hosting, or maybe a talk. Maybe it's an industry talk that you're doing and you're interviewing someone, or having them come, or you're doing some kind of paid webinar. $15 is seemingly the modal average. That means, if it's a little bit more luxury or niche topic, you can charge more than that. Maybe if it's a little less than that, you can charge less than that. But it gives us some idea. But also noting that Spotify thinks that this can actually work at scale. These events are running from 45 to 70 minutes long, and they have various artists that are going to be doing it. So very curious to see how this works out. I'll be paying attention to this as well. But if you're in that space, any kind of performance, entertainment, or education, you might want to think about this, including, comedians and other kinds of things. How much can you price a ticket for bringing people to a live event? I recently purchased a video replay, but for a live event, and I think it was like a museum talk, and the museum talk was about $12 plus, the processing fee, so it came out to being about $14-15 itself. So it's right in line with what I would think it would be costing for me to attend an event individually, and also taking into account that many times those kinds of events, you're purchasing one ticket, but there are going to be multiple people, say, watching it. Sit down with your spouse or partner, or with the kids. You're purchasing one ticket, so you may need to price it just a little bit more than typical in order to be able to overcome that part, which is that you're not going to have as many people purchasing tickets because those are going to be consolidated under one screen in the household. Okay. Next up is just an article that came across my desk, and I feel like it's important to remind people that Aukey was kicked off of Amazon completely for some fake reviews that were alleged against the platform. And so this comes in line with several other brands that were also allegedly doing this kind of tradecraft. And so just a reminder to everybody, fake Google reviews. I know that some people have problems with people who are faking bad reviews on their Google profiles on Google My Business, but I'm talking about you actually purposefully going out and putting up fake reviews or other kinds of things. I think there's also a misunderstanding about just on the Google My Business part. If you see reviews from Google local guides, those are not fake reviews. Those are actually legitimate people who are donating their time, volunteering their time, and providing value and contributing reviews in the platform. So those are not fake reviews. Those are people who are in the Google Local Guides program. I'm actually one of the Google Local Guides, and just as a volunteer, I go to a restaurant, I go to a particular retail store, and I support those small businesses by leaving reviews. And so those are legitimate reviews. Those are people who are patronizing your store and want to give reviews. So be mindful of that those are not fake reviews. But generally, do not do any of these fake review schemes, because the platforms are paying attention. And in this particular case, they completely delisted Aukey altogether. And hopefully they'll fix whatever they were doing and get back on the platform. But this can be really detrimental to your business if you're, okay. I'm not even going to cover this story, but I wanted to put it in the show notes because this was really interesting in the video description and otherwise. It's called The Inside Story of TikTok's Tumultuous Rise and How It Defeated the Former President. And so, again, I thought it was just an interesting story and really sees behind the scenes of dealing with politics and business in the social networking space. And so if you're interested, you can check out the story. Again, I don't want to give any more time and energy to it, but I thought it was really interesting in terms of the story. A little bit of closing the loop is from last week. We talked about the fact that Twitter was about to open up their process for verifying accounts again, getting that little blue verified badge on your account. Well, it has happened, and now if you go into the Twitter application, supposedly if you go to settings and then request verification, you will see that show up. Now, of course, you need to make sure that you follow the process to make sure you read through the article, make sure everything is ready, and you click on this little FAQ article. I'll put a link to that also in the notes. But in that FAQ article, as well as in this article, it tells you all the things you need in order to be able to go through the verification process. I still do not see the option in my own app, so I'm going to update the application today again, see if it goes ahead and gives me the option to be able to verify, but I don't see the verification option yet. So if you do see the verification option, let me know. I'm really curious to see. Okay, last but not least, I picked up a couple of articles, and I'm not going to go through all of these together, but the reality is that we have this burgeoning future of audio playing a really interesting and potentially outsized role in social networking, in social media that you're producing, but in digital marketing generally for small business going forward. And really, this comes down to the fact that we have a lot of new abilities to access audio content that we didn't otherwise have access to in the past. And so the reality is that Google prefers media when it comes to showing things in the search engine results page, what we call the SERPs. And the reality is that Google has now started to index that data really well. And this is something that they weren't able to do before. They updated their algorithm. And so now we're capable of actually understanding what is in audio from the Google algorithm itself. And this has also kind of uh, taken us forward with regard to the way in which podcasts have become more popular. We now have the rise of social audio, which is this concept of the different social networks that are popping up that are really audio only or baked into Facebook, Instagram, Discord, and inside of Twitter Spaces. And we are seeing more and more of this audio only or audio first perspective when it comes to connecting with people, Clubhouse being one of those pieces. But we already knew this was coming before and after, before Clubhouse was ever a glimmer in the entrepreneur's eyes who started that. The goal here, though, for me, is to really start thinking about how audio plays into your overall marketing plan. And audio is remarkably resilient when it comes to marketing because what you have is the ability to create something where people don't have to be focused on something. They also don't have to worry about being focused on. So they can be a little bit more, real, a little bit more authentic in what's going on. Many times, entrepreneurs, maybe yourself included, are a little bit nervous about going live and being on camera. And this is a way, social audio is a way for us to be able to do that. Plus, with podcasting, you can do this asynchronously. You don't have to be in real time with your audience like we are here now. You can record separately and then share that content out. But then Google and all of the various other search engines, including social networks, are indexing that audio and providing that audio to people who are not necessarily listening or maybe, in the deaf community or otherwise. So we're seeing that audio is a really good place where we can generate original content. It's easier than, say, writing, because you can just outline what you're going to talk about and then show up and talk. And then you can take the best bits out and turn that into text through technology. You can turn that audio into video very easily using tools like Headliner and other tools that turn audio into video using various images. You can even go into video tools like Premiere Pro and others that can turn the image, take various images throughout the course of the text and throughout the course of the audio and place different images at different sections. So that's a little bit more, exciting. And you could do a lot with audio. And so I really feel like the future of audio is really powerful, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. I know that for me, doing these live streams, they ultimately become podcast episodes, and a lot more people are capable of listening to the podcast here than coming to the live streams. And I recognize that you're busy entrepreneurs. You've got to be out there doing your the great work that you do, and you want to listen to this after the fact. That's also great. And it's not as real time interactions, but I get your emails and I see your messages on the various social networks where it's posted, and I'm capable of connecting with you in that way. So I just see a lot of power and value here. So my prompt for you is to start thinking about, what does your audio marketing strategy look like for the small business, and is it the right format for you? Right? Everybody is different. Some people are best in writing, some people are best in audio, some people are best in video. Either way, you want to think about how all of those are going to be incorporated into or transformed into the other for purposes of getting greatest exposure to the search engines, to the social networks of choice, and to your audience, whether that be directly through email or other kinds of publishing on your website. So I just wanted to just pique everybody's attention in that regard and make sure everybody was aware. And then otherwise, that really closes up my thoughts for today. Note that we have some upcoming webinars, and those webinars are published at w3cinc.com/events. And so if you go to our events page at W3C inc.com/events, you'll go ahead and be able to find our events page and register for any of those there. Now, if you want to make it easier on yourself, you can join our digital community for small business entrepreneurs, and that is at www.webandbeyond.community. And so inside the community, I post all of our events, including our virtual roundtables, our webinars series, and all kinds of other fun things. I post the aftermath of these live streams, so you can watch them or listen to them from within Web and Beyond community as well. And so feel free to join us in there. It's free to join. And I've got all kinds of fun new things planned for us within Web and Beyond community as we make our way through the next year. So very happy about that and excited to have you join us there. All right, everybody, that brings us to the end of our time together today. If you've enjoyed this live stream, feel free to hit the thumbs up icon. That helps us make new small business friends. So thank you. Feel free to also rate and review us in Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or wherever you're listening to the podcast. If you're listening to it after the fact, those reviews and those ratings really do help us expand our small business exposure. And so thank you for doing that as well. If you have a question, feel free to leave a comment on any of the platforms. You can also tweet and or message me at W3 Consulting on Twitter, and I'm always happy to respond to you there. Join us every Monday, typically around 11 a.m. Eastern, except when we have a little technical difficulty like we had starting today. We're usually here at 11 a.m. Eastern in order to start the live streams and record these, and I'm always happy to have folks join me here live for those. Thanks so much for spending this Web and Beyond live with me. I'm Ray Sidney Smith on behalf of W3 Consulting and our subsidiary W3C Web Services. Have a great week ahead marketing your small business on the Web and Beyond.